Bonjour everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Coffee and Film. My name is Jente and I love to watch films and talk about everything else cinema. So grab a cup of coffee and let's get ready for the first chapter of this little adventure. Today on Coffee and Film we are talking about my favorite director, the person who made me fall in love with cinema, Wes Anderson. Now, for those of you who don't know, Wes Anderson is an American film director who's known for films like The Grand Budapest Hotel, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and he has a new film coming out in October, The French Dispatch. He's really inspired by Europe and European film. His films are very colorful and color coordinated. Another thing he's known for is using symmetry in his shots, so everything is just always very pleasing to watch. Now, I personally got into Wes Anderson probably because of Tumblr. I used to see posts come by mostly about Moonrise Kingdom. So a few years ago, I just decided to watch it, and the whole vibe about Moonrise Kingdom just felt very similar to me. And when I looked him up and found out I had seen Fantastic Mr. Fox as a little kid, it just all came full circle to me. Now, Wes has 9 films in total, so today I just wanted to talk a little about my favorite ones out of those, but at the end I will share my unofficial ranking of them. So whether you're familiar with his work or completely new to it, I hope you will enjoy this little endeavor we're about to embark on. The first film that I want to talk about is my third favorite, as of now, and it's The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. It's his 4th film, and it came out in 2004, when I was only 3 years old. Oh my god. I watched it for the first time a year ago, and I rewatched it last week. And it's so good. But before I get into the plot, can we just talk about the outfits Team Zissou wears? I'm so jealous of their red caps and the blue jumpsuit, and they have their own shoes. And apparently they sold the shoes. They're Adidas or something. And imagine owning a pair. I would feel so cool. I can't imagine being this cool, to be honest. Now, I do love the story a lot, but it's not my number one, don't sue me. But one thing that I love about it a lot is that it's a movie within a movie. It starts out with Steve Zissou, and he's showing his documentary. And then you just get into the documentary about this jaguar shark that ate his friend, who he's trying to get revenge on. So yeah, if you're unfamiliar with Wes Anderson's work, I'm so sorry. But yeah, it feels like you're watching his documentary together with the audience, which is something really special. And it's something that I really love about Wes's films. He always knows how to remind the viewer that a story is being told within his movies. And this man, well, he's a great storyteller, isn't he? And plot-wise, the stories, they have so much going on, and they can come off as chaotic sometimes. But to me, it's more like a controlled chaos. You can still follow along. It feels warm and welcoming. It doesn't make you anxious or scared off because there's so much going on. It makes you interested. And it's not hard to watch or anything. But yeah, it's you watch it, there's so much going on, and you get really involved in the story with the characters. And I watched this interview with him the other day, and he talks about plot-wise, yeah, oh, I don't really have a plot, but there is a plot. It's just a story that I want to tell, or multiple stories that I want to tell. And my characters may come off as unrealistic, but they are based on real people. So his characters are literally based on friends of his, or a mix of friends of his, which makes it really cool to me. But now, I don't like water. I don't like swimming. The ocean scares me. I don't like fish. I don't eat fish. So, I'm glad Wes doesn't really have a massive budget, because now he has no other choice but to make the creatures in this movie and the underwater scenes look more artsy than realistic, which is another thing that I really like about his films. The fact that he doesn't have a big budget makes him and his team come up with original ideas on how to portray something. It's the same in the Grand Budapest Hotel with the ski chase scene where Willem Dafoe follows Zero and the other guy, his name, I can't come up with his name, but it's the actor who plays Voldemort. It's this whole ski chase scene, but it's literally made with stop motion because he doesn't have a big budget. So he has to come up with something else. But because it has to be something small like this, it makes you fall in love even more with his films because he's doing something that he prefers rather than if he had this big budget. And to me, it gives a story like so much more character, and it gives us this image of being like quirky. Now, Steve Zissou, he isn't a lovable character at all. Like throughout the whole movie, I just don't like him. That like period, I don't like him. I do like that at the end he does have like this little redemption, and you feel for him and his team, but like especially for his team, like things they go through, man. But what I do want to mention, Owen Wilson as Ned Plimpton, that's very nice. But yeah, overall, I would give this movie like a 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd, which I give to almost all of his movies. So yeah, that's my thoughts on The Life Aquatic. It's not that much, I know, I'm sorry. I still love the plot, but it's not my favorite. The characters are not as lovable as his other characters, but they are intriguing. I do love the whole look of it, as I do with all of his movies. And the soundtrack, I need to mention the soundtrack before I end. Like the Portuguese David Bowie songs, they're amazing. And one of my favorite scenes is literally the end credits, where it's like Queen Bitch is playing, but the original version. And all of the members of Team Zissou start walking to the song, and it's so cute. They're so adorable in their jumpsuits and their red caps. Like I just want to be one of them. I want to be one of the cool kids, you know? Now, the next movie that I wanted to get into is one of his most known films so far, and it's The Grand Budapest Hotel. Of course, I need to talk about this one. Now, it's his 8th film, and it came out in 2014. And literally, where do I start? This film is one of Wes Anderson's greatest so far. Period. It's a fact. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. I'm sorry, but it is. I've watched so many interviews with him. And as I said before, what I love about Wes is he starts with a few different ideas and it just grows from there. Like this film, it takes place in 4 different time periods, I think. There's so many characters, there's so many stories, but it just comes together as a whole, and it's amazing. Now, I don't want to get into the plot too much, because as I said, there's so much going on, but it is one of my favorite stories though, so maybe I should talk a little about it. So basically, it starts out in the present, well, not our present, but in the movie it's the present. And there's this writer who goes to talk to the owner of the Grand Budapest Hotel, and he like listens to his stories about what happened in the hotel's heyday. And then you go back in time with how do I like you go back in time and this dude just tells all of his stories about what it was like to work at the Grand Budapest, and it just goes from there. Like I can see it all play out in my head, but I just can't put it into words. Everything that goes down. Like there is so much. So just go watch it if you haven't. But why are you listening if you haven't seen it? Like if you're still listening, you probably don't understand anything that I'm saying right now. Like I probably should have disclaimed before that I'm not here to like analyze his movies. I'm just here to talk about how much I love his movies. And that's it. And if you want to listen to it, well, that's on you. So yeah, I'm not going to get into the plot. But what I do want to get into is the whole aesthetic around this film. Like, if you look at the poster, it's like this beautiful pink hotel in the snow. And I don't even like snow, but it looks so fucking beautiful. It's a work of art. And one of the things I love so much about the setting of the Grand Budapest is that it's obviously inspired by Eastern Europe, which I want to visit so bad. I know it's filmed in Germany, but it takes place in Eastern Europe, obviously. So I'm glad I can at least travel there through his eyes for now. But if I do get to visit one of the Eastern European countries, I will not shut up about it. Now, overall, I don't really have anything bad to say about this film, except for the fact that, like, when I watched it for the first time, it can get a little confusing because there are so many stories. But it gives me more reason to rewatch it because I want to get to know the stories better. I want to get to know the characters better. I want to understand them more. And it's just so pretty to watch, like the colors in this one. Like, there's this scene where one of the main characters goes to a museum at night, and it's like filled with this darker blue color, and it's so pretty, and it's winter outside, so again there's the snow, and the hotel, it's like pink and everything. And now I think Wes Anderson's favorite color is yellow, but his second favorite color has to be pink. That's it. But yeah, I love the characters and their dynamics. The casting is really great in this one. It's funny, it's dramatic, and the whole look of it, as I was saying, it's chef's kiss. And yeah, I'm always up for a rewatch. What more is there to say? So the last film that I wanted to get into is my favorite. It's Wes Anderson's fifth film that came out in 2007, and it's none other than the Darjeeling Limited. People, this film is so underrated. Like, the only people that I see talk about it is the Owen Wilson side of Twitter. And I love you guys. If you're listening, you know who you are. This movie is so good. This cast is amazing. It stars, of course, Owen Wilson, together with Adrian Brody, and excuse me for butchering your name, Jason Schwartzman. They play these three estranged brothers who meet in India for the so-called spiritual journey after their father's funeral. And I love it so much. The story is amazing. So this film, it has a good mix of funny and emotional scenes, which is what I love about it. Like the bickering between the brothers, they keep things from each other, but in the end it all comes together when they get thrown off the train, and that's where the real spiritual journey starts for them. Like, they start to trust each other again, and they start to communicate honestly. And Owen's character, his name is Francis, he reveals that he wanted to bring the three of them together to visit their mother, who lives in a monastery there. And then we also get a flashback to the day of their father's funeral, which the scene, it's all over the place. Like, these three brothers, they really need some peace and quiet, and they went to India to find it. And they did. In the end, they did, so I'm happy. But yeah, it all comes full circle in the end. Like, you start to understand where these three brothers come from, why their family dynamic is so fucked up. And it's a beautiful thing to see them go from three strangers who happen to be related to three actual brothers who love and care about each other. And overall, I can't really pick a favorite moment in the film. I love every single minute, every single second. But what I want to mention is that in the beginning, you see one of the brothers run to catch the train. And the same scene, it comes back again towards the end. But this time, it's all three brothers running to catch another train. And they throw all of their bags to the ground. And it's this really metaphorical moment to watch them, like, on one hand, literally lose all of their baggage, but also spiritually lose all of the baggage that they carried with them their whole lives. And another scene that I really love a lot is where Francis, he takes off all of his bandages. So yeah, if you have seen it, or if you haven't, you can like look up the poster and you can see Owen Wilson. He has like these bandages on his head. And there's this scene where all three of them are in a bathroom, and he starts to take all of the bandages off, and you get to see like all of the wounds that he has on his face. And he looks in the mirror and he says, I guess I've still got a lot of healing to do. And you know he isn't referring to the wounds on his face. And it's just all very emotional to me. So if I had to pick a favorite scene, it would be one of those two. But the last scene that I want to mention is one that happens after they visit their mother in the monastery she lives. And they go up on this hill to meditate, I guess. Like, if you've seen it, you know what I mean. But it's a very iconic moment in the film to me. Like, it's funny, but it also has this emotional undertone because Francis's character, this is what he wanted the three of them to do throughout the whole movie. And at this moment, they finally get to do it for real. Now, there happens so much more in this film, even though it's only an hour and 30 minutes long. But all I have left to say is that I absolutely adore this. And you should watch it as soon as possible and then talk to me about it. Now, last but not least, I wanted to get into my ranking of Wes's films, of course. Now, at number 9, I put Rushmore. And the only reason why I put it this low is because I didn't like the story as much as I liked his other stories. And the only thing I've left to say is that Jason's performance as Max, it was really good. It's just I did not connect as much to this story as his others. And then one space up, I have at number 8, Isle of Dogs. And listen up. I have this theory that Wes Anderson doesn't like dogs because I watched Moonrise Kingdom and he killed the dog. Then I watched The Royal Tenenbaums and again, he killed the dog. And it was a beagle too, and I have a beagle, so Wes Anderson, I'm coming for you. I'm gonna cancel you on Twitter. No, I'm kidding. But Isle of Dogs, it was a really good movie, don't get me wrong. It's just not a comforting movie at all to me. And that's it. And that's like the main thing that I love about Wes. It's the level of comfort that he brings in almost all of his films. So that's why I put Isle of Dogs at number 8. Now at 7 is his first movie, Bottle Rocket. And what I love about Bottle Rocket is that you can see where Wes Anderson came from. And he made it together with Owen Wilson, and it is also Owen's first movie. So he wrote it and he stars in it alongside his brother Luke. So it's like fun to see where they all came from and how they began their career in the film industry. And it's also an interesting story and it's funny too. So yeah, it's worth a watch. Then at number 6, now I struggled a lot with where I wanted to put this one, but I chose Royal Tenenbaums. And the reason why is because on one hand, I do love the story and the fact that it's like about this dysfunctional family, which is relatable. But on the other hand, I don't connect as much to the characters as I do with the films I ranked higher in this list. But Royal Tenenbaums, I do love you, but I won't forgive you for killing the dog. He was innocent. Then at number 5, again, what's up with the dog killing, Mr. Anderson? I put Moonrise Kingdom at number 5. But except for this one thing, this film is so comforting. The two main characters are so cute. I love them. They deserve so much more than they got in life. And you know, while watching this one, I wanted to go on a hike. Like, the setting of the island is so beautiful. I want to move there now. Then at number 4, I put Fantastic Mr. Fox. And I don't know why I waited so long to rewatch this, because as I said before, I remember seeing it as a little kid, but I did not remember at all what happened in the movie. So yeah, I rewatched it and I loved it so much. It's so funny, it's so cute, it's well made, and again, it's really comforting. And the character of Ash, who's like the son of Mr. Fox, I love him so much. He's so cute. But also, he gives me gender fluid vibes, which I'm really into. And you know, another thing that I love about this one is that apparently the cast, they recorded a lot of the scenes outside in nature to make it like feel more authentic. So not everything was recorded in a recording booth, which is really cool to me. And overall, I don't really have anything bad to say about this one. So if you like stop motion, if you like Wes Anderson, go watch Fantastic Mr. Fox right now. Then, and number 3, as I said before, is The Life Aquatic. And yeah, I love the story. I love some of the characters. And, you know, I get silent every time at this one scene. It's the scene with, spoiler alert, Ned's funeral. And it just hurts to watch. Like, I got really silent. I teared up a little. And then the music that played is just really well chosen. And the ending where he finally finds that jaguar shark of whatever it is. It's again this moment where you just get completely silent, and it's amazing to watch. So overall, it's a very good film, but it's not my number 1. But before I get into number 1, of course, I have to talk about number 2, which is the Grand Budapest Hotel. And it is arguably, or really not even arguably, it is his greatest film, period. And like, what more is there to say? The stories, they interweave perfectly to me. The performances of the cast are amazing. And the whole look of it is so beautiful. It's just, this movie is so rewatchable. Like, every time you get something new out of these stories and out of these characters, it stays pretty to watch. So yeah, that's why it's number 2. But as all of you know by now, my number 1 has to be the Darjeeling Limited. I love the Whitman brothers so much. I love to watch their journey. The balance of emotional and humoristic is there. And like the soundtrack, it's so good. Every time I hear one of the songs, I just play out the scene in my head that it accompanies, and it's so comforting to me. The characters are so comforting to me. And I love trains. So maybe that's also a reason why it's up there. But yeah, it's just a really good and comforting movie. But yeah, this has been my unofficial ranking of Wes Anderson's films. And of course, we cannot forget The French Dispatch that is coming out in October. I have no idea where it's going to be on my list, but I will keep you guys updated. And this has been the very first episode of Coffee and Film. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked listening to me ramble about my favorite director. Like I've said before, I'm not here to analyze films. I'm not here to criticize them. I just like to talk about them and maybe make some friends along the way. So feel free to hit me up on any of my social medias. I have my links up on my profile somewhere. But other than that, I wish all of you a nice day. Au revoir.